This is big breaking news. A very large 7.0 earthquake has just hit Alaska along the border with Canada. This just happened tonight, December 6th, Saturday night. And we are also seeing a train derailment happen as well in Colorado. So let's get into all the details here. You guys can see it says that the 7.0 just hit. All right, this just happened tonight. It's called the Hubbard Glacier earthquake. All right, and you can see where it hit in Alaska along the border with Canada here, and there's been a major cluster of earthquakes. 34 earthquakes right now are in frame that you're seeing here, and most of these are aftershocks that happened after this big one. You can see here the initial one was at 1541, and then we have a 5.1 at 1551, 10 minutes later. Okay, so these were not very deep earthquakes at all, only 10 kilometers they're measuring, which is only a few miles. All right, so this is not that deep. And these earthquakes, there were initial worries of tsunamis because it's so close to the coast here, but thankfully there was no tsunami threat. And if we saw this one hit in the water, though, this could have been a major tsunami threat, having this 7.0 hit along the coast here. All right, so thankfully there is not a big population region here, but people did report shaking, and they did report that there was even a rolling like feeling. All right, this hit approximately 56 miles north of Yucatan, Alaska, and it was only 6 miles deep. And there were over 20 aftershocks over 5.0 magnitude as well. It's saying that around 1,000 people were near the epicenter who felt moderate shaking, and there were over 10,000 people, maybe 13,000 people that felt light shaking as well too. So people were reporting that they were even feeling a quote rolling sensation as well, and seeing kind of trees swaying back and forth. All right, so the ground is moving, the ground is shifting, it's realigning, and I really think we are still kind of in the aftermath of this big one that hit the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia just a few months ago. That was right over here. All right, it's not that far from Alaska, hit right over here. So, and in the aftermath of that, we've seen all these volcanoes erupt. There was a volcano that hadn't erupted in thousands of years that just erupted in the past couple weeks. There was one in Russia that hadn't erupted for hundreds of years that started erupting again. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of increased activity, and we also see this as well too. Right when this earthquake hits, we're seeing a quote moderate flare event as well, reaching R2 conditions where we could see degradation of high frequency communication bands over swaths of the sunlit side of the earth. And they're saying disruptions could last for anywhere up to 10 minutes, right? And this is due to a solar flare eruption, a M8.1, all right, a M-class flare. So right when this happened, I'm not saying they're related, but it's just there's a lot of activity. They could be related, maybe. We don't have confirmation on that right now. But there's a lot of activity with the sun, with the earth. Things are rearranging, and we're seeing a reawakening of the sun, of these volcanoes, of these tectonic plates in these certain regions, these certain seismic zones. And you can see here's the shake map for this. And the National Guard last year actually did a emergency drill for a quote megaquake to hit this exact region of Alaska, to hit over here. and hit along the coast and to cause a major tsunami event. And this has happened in previous years, maybe 50 years ago, maybe 60 or 70 years ago. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but they had a major earthquake there, major tsunami, and a lot of these islands, especially the smaller ones, were totally engulfed, all right, and had massive waves crashing onto them, all right. So it's a risk for people on these outer islands as well. There's not a lot of people that live there, but it's a risk, and the National Guard is preparing for it. You can see lots of seismic activity too. Just in the continental United States here, we're showing 118 earthquakes as well. So we could see some of this energy transferred down. It's really not that far to the west coast, and maybe activity along the Cascadia subduction zone here, which is west of Washington and Oregon. Or we could even see activity in California as well. So keep these things on your radar. Just be prepared, be stocked up. Thankfully, this hit where there's not a lot of people living, but if a big earthquake like this ever did hit a major epicenter, a major city, then who knows what could happen in the aftermath, all right? It could be devastating. We could see infrastructure crumbling, bridges collapsing, water lines destroyed, power lines affected, and building collapses as well too. So just, that's worst case scenario. That's a low probability, but at the same time, we kind of are overdue for these things. So just be stocked up, be ready, be prepared to potentially, bug in. A lot of people think of bugging out. Maybe be prepared to bug in for a few weeks if you have to at your home, right? Let's get into this too. I thought this was significant because there's just a lot of changes going on right now. You can see here it says engineers rescued after rock slide derails train in Colorado. 2 engineers were rescued in Colorado after a rock slide caused their train to derail into the Gunnison River earlier this week. You can see this massive boulder fell down. This happened during this big snowstorm. There's been a massive snowstorm that's been going over the Rocky Mountains the past week. Ton of snow dumped on. It's been very cold. And you can see this giant boulder collapsed onto the railroad line and completely severed it. And the train derailed when it ran into it and crashed into the Gunnison River, which actually is a main tributary river for the Colorado River. Okay, it flows westward and eventually flows into the Colorado. Okay, so it's concerning to have anything derailing in there. They're saying that it's, relatively safe. There was thousands of gallons of diesel that derailed. They're saying it was over 4,000 gallons. You can see some of that green diesel floating on the river and the waterways there. And that's from the derailment of the main car. Okay, it wasn't even carrying diesel. It was a coal car. You can kind of see the coal over there by that guy that has a blue helmet on the left side. There's coal in that car there. But they were saying that over 4,000 gallons did spill into the Gunnison. They were trying to mitigate it and prevent it from flowing. But, this could affect wildlife. This could affect fish. Lots of trout in the Gunnison, even salmon. It's one of the, prized fishing rivers for Colorado. Thankfully, it's winter time right now. It's not really in season. You can still fish in winter, but it could potentially affect local fish populations as well too downstream, and it flows into the Colorado. So just something to be aware of. They're trying to mitigate it and clean it up. But these derailments can happen, and a lot of these trains, their route actually does travel along river paths, right? That's kind of the only way they can get through these mountain passes is by following the river, all right? So it's convenience for transportation, but then when you have situations like this, thankfully it was only diesel. It's still concerning, but thankfully it wasn't something like extremely toxic that is dumping into the Gunnison River. All right, so let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying prepared out there, staying stocked up, and staying warm. It's supposed to be cold and snowing in a lot of places along the East Coast. So, and in the Midwest too, they're expecting to see even more snow and cold weather. So just be prepared, be stocked up. I hope you guys have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.